on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. This is the state of wrestling, and that is Jake fucking DeMarco. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, my friend? Happy to be here when we're going to be discussing something that I am actually quite fond of that I feel sometimes doesn't get as much love as it should. So,
Across the board. We're doing tag team off the ropes. And everything I have to talk about today is WWE related, but you wanted to throw some Dax content at me, so I will roll my eyes very, very loudly.
yeah, because
I don't know if you can hear that, but give me some Dax content.
well, Wrestling Banana tweeted out, kind of stirring the pot. He said,
Is Wrestling
WWE,
Banana you?
it's not go figure, but I am a fan. So,
You're a
we all
fan,
know about
man.
going bananas.
Hearing everybody go absolutely
Banana.
banana.
So they said, the banana, and I quote, WWE will never be forgiven for making fans believe that the tag team division is mid card.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. I wasn't sure of the I wasn't sure who said it, and I wasn't sure the context, but I saw that quote. I was like, okay, okay, okay. Initial response, other than when it was all four members of the Elite facing each other, when have the tag titles been main event in AEW?
I mean, just recently when they had Private Party, who we'll discuss in a bit, they tried
Yes,
to
we
give
will.
them like this triumphant title reign, and it meant nothing. They were paper champions and just a hangover until the Herp Syndicate business got their their credit cards finally, the credit cleared. Here's the thing though, Dax had to throw his name in here because anytime he can poo-poo on Vince and crew, because he's got Vince derangement syndrome, just like
Yeah.
many people have TDS, he's got VDS, and he's always going on about Vince and how Tony's so amazing because he's not Vince. And I'm like, just because Tony's not, shitting on people's heads here, let's not go crazy. So, hey, that worked out. The wrestlers he brings into this. So he goes, for years, tag team wrestling was top of the card. Then one man decided he hated it. Fans eventually accepted it because there was no other choice. The excuse, I have to pay twice as much, is bullshit. Cash and I worked over 180 matches one year, more than any other wrestler, and we're still the lowest paid wrestlers on the roster. Even if you doubled our pay, we were the lowest. The wrestlers, as well, bought into this belief. They all became selfish and wanted to hit all their moves. Tag team wrestling can be the single most exciting part of the show with the most story
That's
involved.
a terrible pun. That's a terrible pun.
Right?
Tag team wrestling can be the single best. That's a terrible pun. Dax, I see what you did
So
there. And
glad
you
you
can fuck
caught
off.
that. He said it just takes a little bit of creativity. And any match can be the star of the show with good story and creativity, you bald motherfucker. I mean, this one is obviously it's rage bait. It's intended to make you mad. So then he could be like, see, you're mad, you idiot. Like, I hate that ironic mad stance that they
Yeah.
try to combat you with. But I
It's
brought
almost
this
like setting somebody's house on fire and then calling them the bad guy when they get mad.
absolutely. And the reason I brought this up, because Wrestling Banana is talking about, Swerve Strickland is his champion. So obviously he's on AEW's side. And then for this to be torn apart, and he's like, I woke up with a banger tweet and wonder how it happened since I just posted myself nowadays. I saw that Dax the Axe quoted me. We cooked though, it's a fact. And I'm sorry, but Dax is not cooking here. I see what people are going off with, but to me, it's just a little bit embarrassing. He's got we did 180 matches. Great.
Okay.
So how many other people did 160, 170? Like a lot of people did the house show
Here's the thing, though.
circuit.
Here's the thing, though, and it's a different conversation. And I don't want to skew us off the point too much because I've got a lot to say about this. Right? There's an opposite end to that. We did so many matches. Okay, maybe you needed to calm the fuck down because how many people have had 10 matches or less this year? Like
Yeah.
we did this much. It starts off as a look how much we did for our company this year, and it ends with look how many spots we took away from everybody else. Like there's both sides of that coin. Yes, if you've worked your ass off for your company all year, be proud of that. But if you've done it to the point where you were the only game in town, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah. No doubt
Now,
about it.
where I have to be fair and tell Dax to fuck off at the same time, there's a lot of the Vince mentality that, he didn't see the tag team championships as necessarily main event stuff, main event pay-per-view. He wouldn't have put them in the main event at Mania. Like, we can agree on that much at least.
Yeah.
Maybe if you still had like the Hardys, Edge and Christian and the Dudleys in their prime, they might have had a shot. I don't think Vince would have put those tag team titles on the guys that they did in that spot. And to be fair, on the other side of the coin as well, I don't think Triple H would have either if it wasn't a 2-night WrestleMania situation. So in amongst all the asshole-ish, dickish, I'm going to stoke the fires of tribalism and then complain about tribalism shit that he's doing, there are good points about like Vince's mentality on certain things. We've heard this from lots of people, right?
Yeah.
Here's the problem. What do I accuse AEW fans of doing all the time? And I'm sorry, the biggest fans of AEW are AEW. They're chasing the ghost of Vince.
Yeah. And really quick, John Cena the same year worked 86 matches. They worked 180 because they did a lot of dark and NXT combo at that point in time because they were also being called up. And then they were tag champs, so they were doing the house show
in
circuit.
WWE. Right,
yes.
But like as well, like you're thinking about dark matches, you're thinking about the era of house shows, which shouldn't count for your story, but it counts for the bumps you've taken over the course of the year.
Yeah, they're talking about bumps, but it shouldn't count because we're talking about TV mileage here.
Of course,
and telling, so already it's a bit of bullshit, he's pulling a Hogan, 50 weeks a year, 52 weeks a year, but here we are, you know, that kind of thing.
Here's where I'm trying to be fair though, is if you weren't in the main event scene, but you were good enough to be on every house show loop, there would be a reason, but he was on both, so he can fuck off. Here's the split that I have to do with this. No, I don't think Vince McMahon specifically put the tag team championships in the main event scene. But if you want to tell me that he always stuck to the I'm always going to have the main event be one-on-one, I'd rather pay 2 people than any more than that, we wouldn't have the Elimination Chamber. We wouldn't have the Survivor Series in all its different iterations. We definitely wouldn't have the fucking Royal Rumble. Like this whole idea of I'd rather pay 2 people than any more than 2 people, there's limitless options of where that's not the case. They made an entire, it wasn't a very good one, but they made an entire pay-per-view called Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sorry, a Fatal 4-Way match includes the same amount of paychecks as a tag team match would. It's just not for the tag team championships. So he's making a good old point that's not a current point, and he's doing it badly. The annoying thing is there's a kernel of truth in what he's saying somewhere, but it's buried under 10 layers of bullshit.
Yeah.
And tag team wrestling isn't perfect in WWE either. We're going to get into that in a second because I've got a theory that I want to share with you.
Exactly.
And it's not Austin theory.
but my point in bringing all this up, as you know, of course, was just to reiterate, and it's not AEW hate. It's Dax and that mindset of no, tag team wrestling was not entirely minimalized. Was it at one point? Yeah, but in the Attitude Era, it was still going strong. It was. Maybe it wasn't the longest matches and whatnot, but they still had a focus on it. The Road Dogg and the New Age Outlaws, they were cooking with Billy Gunn. Like, they had points to them.
They were, but were they main? Like, if you take a look at something like the New Age Outlaws, perfect example of what I was going to use the Hardys, but different story for a different day.
But were they the main event? No.
No, here's the thing though. The New Age Outlaws didn't have to be in the main event to be the main event because the New Age Outlaws were part of DX and DX was the main event. So they had a cushion
thing with the
to land
Road
on.
Warriors back in the day. So a lot of times they were the main event, but the Road Warriors got the Road Warrior pop because eventually they had to put them in the main events because anywhere else on the card would die. People would basically leave or they'd just be like, all right, I saw the Road Warriors. We're done for the day. Like, that's it. So they started having to put them last because it's like, oh, the pop they would get, Iron Man, dun, 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 you know, that kind of explosive
exactly.
pop. You know, I figured out
But
before.
I'll
My
use the
voice
Hardy.
cues were on for the soundboard, so when I say certain things, when I said shit before, it came up with the fart noise. That's what I was like, oh, I got to turn that off.
Nice.
When I said pop, I was waiting for the
Can you
CM
tell
Punk.
that Jake is basically producing my podcasts now?
Me? No, desk
But
pop.
no, like here's where I'll give a little bit of a credence to what he's saying though. At their absolute peak of popularity, and granted at this point, like the Road Warriors and stuff like that had already moved on.
Yeah.
At their peak, there was nothing hotter than the Hardy Boys, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But Jeff
T-
Hardy had to break off and be a singles guy and go for the WWE title before he sniffed a main event.
Yes.
So there is some credence
And they were
to
in the
what
main
he's
event a few
saying.
times with TLC matches and whatnot. Like they
Yep.
did put them in the main event spots a couple of times. And here's the thing, though. They didn't need to be the main event to be the most exciting match. Like people, what do they remember?
Oh no,
They
fair.
remember those matches. And then here's also the thing, though. When you flash forward, not even a decade later, and what do we see? NXT and what's going on? Some of the fucking best tag team matches that have happened under WWE's umbrella in a global span. These tag matches are better than anything going on in the world at that point in time.
Okay.
The tag matches were better than the Young Bucks and fucking New Japan having a super kick party. We were getting DIY versus, you know, the Revival. AOP were dominating fucking everybody. Look at Connor and the Ascension. Victor and Connor, yeah, the Ascension. Like they were badass in NXT. Tag team wrestling was alive and thriving thanks to Dusty and Hunter. And guess what? Vince enjoyed it too. And Vince didn't resent NXT at that point. It wasn't until it got too big.
I think
and outshined
Vince,
his roster at Survivor Series.
To be fair, give it some balance. I think Vince was happy to have NXT be the thing that did the stuff people wanted so that he could keep doing what he's doing. Oh, you want tag teams to main events?
Yeah.
Check
you
out
saw
NXT.
how he handled them on the main roster. I mean, he neutered
Yeah.
all of them. Enzo and Cass, I still shake my head. I mean, I know Enzo literally knocked himself unconscious, and of all people,
Yeah,
it was against the man that buries him on YouTube forever. God,
and then he got Me Too'd, and we're not going to see him ever again. And you know, Big Bill, Big Cass went through his own personal stuff. Good for him. But
I will say the flip, rip, stick, and boom accusation will forever live in infamy. That's what she said too. She said he flipped, ripped, sticked, and boomed me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's the world we live in. By the way, to anybody listening, to anybody that listens the day I release this, happy Men's Mental Health Month.
Thank you, sir.
Anyways,
it's not even Juneteenth yet, but what are you gonna do?
Probably nothing. Moving swiftly on. I'm sorry. Who was the best tag team of 2024? Coming out of NXT, now kicking ass on SmackDown.
No, it couldn't have been Fraxium. No, they suck because tag team wrestling sucks. So was it Liv and Raquel?
No.
It was the Bellas. Fuck me, it was the Bellas.
It's going to be Fraxium because Fraxium kicks ass, and Fraxium are what the Bucks wish they could be. But anyways,
you mean talent and a total threat and the entire package? These guys are great singles wrestlers, but they tell. And I agree with Dax on one thing: tag team wrestling can tell a deeper story because of the narrative of. There's only so much you can do as a babyface. You could play to the crowd like, help me, you need to power me up. But when you have a tag team partner going for that hot tag and delivering a true, of the essence, epitomized hot tag is a work of art.
That's the crowd as well. That's the crowd wanting you to get the tag, and that's the crowd
absolutely,
wanting your partner to receive the tag.
You're like using them, you know, you're vicariously emoting
you're
through your
living
tag
through
partner.
You're living through two people instead of one.
Thank you.
But my thing is, like the storytelling example that I was going to use, right? When they finally did it at WrestleMania, and yes, we can have the debate. I don't think the night one main event technically counts as a main event. It's a conversation to have. But look at the Usos versus Sami and KO, right?
Yeah.
I think the majority of that story is not Sami Zayn and KO versus the Usos at WrestleMania. The majority of that story is, hey, Sami and KO are back together.
Yep.
And the match is what we got out of it. and the story that they had with the Bloodline, the story that KO had with the Bloodline, trying to get Sammy out, how Sammy got in and got out again,
The
how they
story
became
was
a tag team
Sammy, the
because they fought
betrayal
so
of
many
Sammy
times. And
Uso, and him, essentially betraying the Bloodline, even though he was justified in the right.
And see, the thing is, though, like 99% of that is Sammy and the Bloodline.
Yep.
The other 1% is
His friend
Sammy
Kevin
and
Owens.
KO. No, the Sammy KO we're doomed to do this forever, Batman and Joker type of friendship that they have. By the way,
Which, if
shout out
that's
to
Owens,
KO. I hope
if
the
that's
rumor.
his last match, then what a way to go out. But I hope that's not the
I hope.
case.
Shout out to that guy. Hope he's doing all right.
I mean, look at his
yeah.
career, what he's had, and I mean, you look back and like you said, tag team. What a way to main event a Mania. And like you said, if you want to argue it or not, but still, I think because what was the actual what was the night 2 main event that year? It was
was that
Lesnar?
Cody Roman round 1?
I don't remember, honestly.
No.
That's what I thought it was Lesnar and
maybe. I don't know.
I
don't remember.
Yeah, but
it shows that it's the night 1 main event that I remember, so it should have been the main event of night 2, right?
Yeah.
But no, the frustrating thing, and I know, like, when you brought me this, the assumption, and I'm sure the assumption of a lot of people listening is, oh, he's an AEW guy, Spaz is going to jump down his throat. I am going to have a little bit more of a nuanced look at what he's saying, because Dax does what Dax does a lot of the time is he says a bunch of shit that I could ultimately get on board with, but like you're going about it the wrong way, and sometimes the way you go about it is what gets it not dealt with, or however you want to phrase it.
Yeah, and you were right. It is Roman Cody 1. It's WrestleMania 39. So yep, okay. You're.
But there is.
I never
right,
doubt
that's
you, sir.
Because Rhea Ripley won the Rumble, and I was pissed off that year. All due respect to Sammy and KO, and the tag team titles and the Usos are fucking fantastic. They are also better than the Bucks. I was pissed off that Rhea didn't get the main event on night 1 because she should have, because she won the Rumble too. These conversations of equity and all that kind of thing don't just apply when it's Bianca Belair.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing too. And you see Charlotte saying now, like, oh, I only get that main event push because Ronda Rousey was involved. And I say, no shit, Sherlock.
You know what I find funny though? And I haven't listened to it yet, but Shotzi Blackheart did a interview with, I believe it was Chris Van Vliet. Somebody correct me down in the box below if I'm wrong.
You're right.
And the clip that I heard, it was just a little paragraph of like, how were things the first couple of days, like after you got let go and whatnot. And she said it was Charlotte. Charlotte was the first one to call me. She was the one calling me every day. She said, "What do you need? What favor do you need? Where would you like to be? Who can I call?"
She's like, wherever you want to wrestle, I will make sure you get there. That's not just a friend. Like, that is a true leader in the locker room and a mentor, because she's done this for other people, and she's told people to really don't speak about it. So I think she's going to get upset with Shotzi for even bringing it up.
So many people under that tweet, because it was somebody else that had quote tweeted that clip that I saw on X, because I don't sit down and listen to a whole lot of CVV interviews. I should, because the guy's really good.
He is. But I don't want to sound like I'm glazing his knob, but every time he's got such a disarming and chauvinistic.
He's got like an everyman thing to him.
Yes, chauvinistic's the wrong word, but like you said, the everyman, like that type of aura, like that's
chivalrous. You mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, chivalrous too,
not chauvinistic.
No, I mean chauvinistic, but in a good way. Like I'm saying, like that kind of presence, that like it's a cocky attitude, but in the best way possible. Like he comes forward and presents. Yes,
I'm not laughing at you. We're laughing.
Yes, you get it. So that's kind of the archetype I'm trying to build here. Like not quite the demigod, but a higher presence of being, because this guy he stands forth, and it's so charismatic. Natured that it turns into a disarming technique, and these people reveal things that I don't think they thought they would ever envision themselves saying, because they've actually gone back afterwards and like, damn, I didn't think I'd ever talk about this. And it's silly because he gets memories out of him.
You know who else was like that at one point, and I don't even think she's podcasting anymore, was Lillian Garcia.
Yeah, and you know what does bother me, and I can't remember his name on the fly right now, but the Undertaker's 6 Feet Under podcast, the guy that he's done the podcast with the whole time,
Yeah.
just got the boot because his wife
Oh, because
is
he moved over
now
to the Fanatics. Like, oh, his wife
yeah,
is and
yeah.
he's
They
like an
replaced
actual like
him with his wife because now WWE podcast they're under the
is
WWE
owning it.
umbrella.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that
So
sucks. I mean, on the one hand, I can't blame a guy for wanting to work with his wife. On the other hand, again, it's like I said about the Dax stuff. Like, there's a way to go about things, and people just don't do it. And I'm not one to shit on the Undertaker like it's a fucking Olympic sport like most people do. But that's come on. Anyways, no, the whole point that I was going to bring up is where I saw that where I
I'm
saw
sorry
that
they
clip
got me.
post where I saw that clip of the thing from Shotzi talking about
Yes,
Charlotte. So many people under that tweet were like, "This will never make a headline because it's Charlotte," and I'm like, "That's
that's disgusting. You know what?
it sounds like the cut and paste default thing for me to say, but it is true."
Yeah, it is utterly disgusting that
Yeah.
people celebrate Liv getting injured. You
Oh
know, Rhea
God.
had to fight against that online, being like, "You people are disgusting." And people actually truly hate Charlotte. And I'm like,
Yep.
you guys act like she's Alberto Del Rio. You're taking the
Mhm.
heat from the character and turning it into a real thing. Like, she's not really a Nepo baby. Like, she's put in so much work. Do you not see how hard she's trying to separate
Do you know what I
herself
love?
from a Flair? And then she had to just give into it because there's no way to not live under that shadow?
Do you know what I love on X? And there's not much to love on X other than the couple of people that interact with us. And the Wrestling for Life guys, go check them out as I always plug them extenuously. But and I've said it about Zachary Wentz, and I've said it about AJ Francis, and I'll say it about Rhea Ripley as well. They really are out there putting everybody else out there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's really cool to see. AJ Francis boosts everybody up. Zachary Wentz, other than like this past weekend where he was having a match with his girlfriend that then had to be
Fiance
stopped,
that
I heard.
he almost killed. Yeah, her patella, like mine, goes
It
out of
moves
place.
sometimes and she
Yeah,
knows how to do it, but she thought she could do something. Anyways, so
it's
other than
painful,
that
but
weekend
it
where
doesn't
he
kill
was
you.
talking about, hey, I get to have a match with my girlfriend, isn't this pretty cool? You watch his feed most of the time, and it's him hyping up everybody else in TNA.
Yeah.
AJ Francis is hyping up everybody in every company.
Money,
Rhea
money,
Ripley is
money.
out there. Rhea Ripley's out there. Like, yes, she's like the prime like enemy of Liv Morgan or whatever, but she does have the ability to just go out there and say, "Hey guys, don't be fucking idiots." Never mind the shit that she's dealt with as well. But I'm just like, keep an eye on these key people that are like holding everybody else up because it's not always who you think it is. And that's I'm gonna get off my pulpit now, but like
No,
these are
but
good. These are good because I
it's
don't want to
good
I
to
don't want
put
to do
people up on that type of pedestal because not
mm,
only are they
because they're
good
putting
people
other
and they
people up
deserve
on
it,
pedestals.
yes, but also because they often aren't seen in that light and deserve
No,
to be
yeah,
noticed, I guess,
top dollar's a
recognized.
joke and
Flop dollar,
you
yeah, all
know,
that
yeah,
bullshit.
he
But
was
yet
doing the
that
flop dollar.
man
I love that he
brought
trolled them
people
on that
in.
on NXT.
Oh, that
That
was
was
so
so good.
good.
Um,
I mentioned it in the review live. I was like, he is a masterclass. The six-man tag actually excited me. I thought they were going to win. I really did. I thought them and Trick had it just because of how it was. And then I'm like, oh, maybe they added West to take the pin because he's a weird late addition. Is KC actually injured or is it a storyline?
Casey's
But
actually injured. He took it to
yeah.
socials
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, just thanking everybody, like because they checked in and said like, oh, was it part of the storyline for that week
Yeah.
or was it legit? And he basically came out, thanked everybody, got the outpouring. He was still there. He was still part of the show, right?
Well,
I
what he
think it's a
said
cool.
was he was like, they were really cool about letting me be a part of everything and still getting to talk and like maximize my minutes per se.
Mhm.
How I forget exactly his words,
Yeah,
but basically along that line of like, they knew I was injured. They could have just said, all right, we'll see you next time and just put Wes in my spot. But no, they still let me come
yeah.
on, talk, have a moment and be on
I don't want to
national
do the
TV.
typical like I don't want to do the typical like check it off the bucket list, whatever. But like Casey Navarro is the
But,
Destiny New Era champion. I've seen him perform at
oh, that's
Destiny
right.
quite
I
a bit,
forgot.
and if you meet him, like, and when I say meet him, I've met him enough to shake his hand, and that's about it. outside of like character, he's like the quietest, just like, hey man, what's going on, whatever guy, and just seems like, I think I said it in the last pod, like there's a good version of just happy to be here, and he's got that sort of vibe to it. But anyways, it was an interesting way to bring in Wesley, because I think Wesley and his two guys, along with those three, that's a pretty big, like, cross-branded little faction that they got together if they decide to keep them all together.
Wesley tag teams, you know, the Rascals and what they've done and how they've transcended, you know, companies and pop culture together. And we see
there was a period last year where the entire tag team scene in TNA revolved around the Rascals and ABC.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was just it was
and it couldn't have been better.
I compare it to, do you remember like when
Old
main
school,
roster
like Edge and Christian and Matt and Hardy kind of feel.
No, okay. I'm making a slightly different. Yes, I would, but I'm making a slightly different point here. Do you remember when WWE was shit, like just basically just before COVID, when we had like Monday Night Raw was in the shitter, but like they were doing that thing where they just let Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy fight each other like over and over and over again, so you knew you were at least getting one good thing. It was kind of like a tag team version of that. Like you tune in and you get another version of the ABC versus the Rascals, and I'm just like, how are we getting this again? And it hasn't gotten old, and I still want to see it. And like just you know, again, to the potential and positive impacts of tag team wrestling, like you can build and build and build and build and build. Now you see how the Rascals have like come in and out of NXT. They've had the stuff with Wes Lee. Obviously Chris Bay has had the unfortunate stuff that he's had. Ace Austin is rumored to be heading to NXT. I don't know if there's any validity to that, but
Spaz, besides them putting the Chamber in the Dome, they put the Motor City Machine Guns into SmackDown. They to think
I'm
about
getting there.
I know you're getting there. I what I'm saying is though we've seen as you mentioned, like with the Rascals and whatnot, and I like your analogy even better. I'm just overall so on the opposite of what Dax is saying, because it all harkens back to the main point of how you said tag teams, they're only used as a launching off point. Maybe, but if that was the case, Fraxian would have already split ages ago. I mean, we've seen an 18-month split of A-Town Down Under for a reason, you know? It's go right ahead, sir.
If tag team wrestling doesn't get you anywhere, if that's the thing, it's a lost cause, you might as well not even try. Don't go in as a tag team wrestler.
A dead art, just going in to get in your spots.
Well, not even a dead art, because somebody that is a tag team wrestler that decides to try singles or trios or whatever, like you can't blame them for like wanting to expand their horizons. The same as a singles wrestler experimenting with becoming a tag team, like Sheamus and Cesaro were two singles guys, and they just said, hey, let's do a tag team for a bit. And I'm sure there was more to it than that, but like you can go in and out. But if there's
tag, let's do it.
down. But like, and this is gonna sound super obvious
for the boys.
This is gonna come down to like, it's Spaz just going with his favorites, and I'm like, what I'm about to say is pretty undeniable. If tag team wrestling doesn't get you anywhere, explain Shawn Michaels.
I mean, and so much more, honestly. No, because you're perfectly correct. But and so much more. I mean, we can go through so many cases.
Jey Uso just dropped the world title.
Exactly. I mean, do we need to go through case after case after case to prove our point? It's beyond.
Matt Damon.
Okay,
you know what? This is gonna make a great transition.
My friends and I used to do that all the time after that Team America. Matt Damon.
I thought you said your friends are always having great transitions.
No, anyways, they suck as bad as I do.
Being a tag team in the WWE is actually such a launching point that you might even get a tag team title from another company. Let's talk about the pay-per-view that we couldn't watch. Triple Mania happened on the weekend, and I was watching it through Twitter, It's
The
fine.
next day, not even the next morning, the same day, really, it was past
Yeah.
midnight when it finished up. They had it uploaded to their YouTube channel in full.
Who?
AAA.
Fuck off, really?
I swear to shit, you can look on YouTube right now. They had it
Oh, I have to go watch it
uploaded
then.
in full, 4K resolution and all, like complete. I got to
I wish I
see
had known
Joe
that.
Hendry's Spanish entrance. I just saw it
I've seen
an
that, yeah.
hour ago. I saw that it was up in full and it came out that very next morning. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. But yeah, they said that. So once it's done live, then they can release it to the world. But
Oh, but they have an exclusivity to the live
yes,
stream.
for the
Okay,
live.
fair.
So did you
I mean,
find it?
that's dumb as shit, but no, I followed it through other people's photos on X as it was happening,
Okay. So
which
well,
really sucked. I'm gonna watch it later.
I
But
just
the
sent you the
headline,
link of it right there so you can watch the entire thing in all of its glory. And Joe Hendry, of
fantastic.
course, is a highlight. Wait till you see his entrance there live.
Oh,
But
I've seen the Joe Hendry entrance. I've
yes,
seen the clips that people have put up. But
yeah,
I mean, the headline
the
coming out,
Spanish, oh, so good, my friends. Like there's
we
just those little
waited
tweaks. That's what
we
makes me
waited
excited.
we waited so long for somebody in TNA to drop a title to somebody in WWE or vice versa. It happened to be Trig Williams.
Yes.
They didn't waste any time with AAA though.
No.
Los Garzas took on, I don't know the names of the former champions, and Pagano and Psycho Clown and the Nemeths.
Yes.
I'm gonna be fast forwarding to that. I'm not gonna lie. Los Garzas were over as shit. They got the pin, they got the win. They're walking around with the AAA tag.
This was, I
titles.
believe, the third match on the card, and
Okay.
because the opener was the X division.
Oh, right. Moose retained.
Yes.
Which is, yeah.
Which
It's
was
not
a really good match. Not great, but good. Like everybody got to shine, made sense. Moose, of course, comes out victorious. He comes out swinging. I get it.
I was going to say TNA have a working relationship with AAA. They aren't like the same company like WWE is now. So I didn't think that title was going to change hands, but even still. And also, I'm not trying to say anything about anything, but Moose going down there looks like a fucking giant.
Oh, I know.
Like,
and the way they
like
responded to him, too, was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
It was funny how they treated some of the talent, like Vikingo. They booed him because
They
they
booed
feel
him out
like
of the building. What was that? Like,
they feel like he's a WWE plant or a WWE guy now because they feel betrayed because they announced he was getting the title before Alberto lost it. So
okay, but that was just a dumb thing. Like, I'm
that
pretty sure
was, but
Vikingo
to
didn't make that
them,
decision. Yeah,
but to them,
I get
that's
it.
a huge deal in Mexico because that like disgraced the lineage of the title, and they're very like it was like sacrilege.
You can't say he's
to
turned
them.
his back and become a WWE guy because AAA as a whole is a WWE thing now.
Yeah, exactly. So
Like,
it's a very like
I get it.
I do get it, but it is bizarre, right? Like, I'm glad you see
You're
what
fighting
I'm
a losing
getting at.
battle there.
Yeah,
You really are.
and what really sucks is he doesn't deserve the backlash here. Like he's not the bad guy, folks. He's really just
okay.
It's so unfortunate that he's being seen this way. You know.
After they did Worlds Collide, which was a lot of fun, we talked about it over on your channel.
It was so much fun, Mr. Iguana included.
And exactly. Didn't they announce that this match was going to be Vikingo versus Ray?
Yes.
And then they pulled back on it and gave Del Rio another shot.
Yes. Because
was there
people
a reason
felt
given
like
for that?
Well, the not kayfabe, but in basically like in real standing, what it was is they felt like it was a make good for him losing
for spoiling the result.
Yeah, so they were gonna give him another chance. People thought Del Rio was, Patron was gonna get the title back. So I guess people were also upset that he didn't get the title.
That's and take it back to AAA. That's now part of WWE.
Yeah, that's
like
what
I don't
I'm
know.
saying. But again,
this has nothing to do with what I think of Del Rio
because it's still in Mexico and because it's still just like its thing. Like even if they bring in WWE people, until they like take AAA out of Mexico and bring it to New York, and it's like no longer a thing in Mexico, then people will be
But they
pissed. But
pop
for
like
right
crazy
now,
for the Garzas, who are
exactly.
WWE
See, so
guys.
they don't. I think, like I said, they were just mad at Vikingo because of his
Involvement.
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
Like his WWE association. I hate putting it that way, but I know you get what I'm getting
They're
at.
all associated with WWE
It all
because
felt dirty,
AAA.
and it shouldn't have. It really shouldn't have
I
been an
get it.
issue. I get why people are upset, but I mean, be damned, people should not be this upset over this. But it's like sacrilege to them down there. They're very
But
like
here's the thing. Here's
there
the
was
thing
a
at this
guy
point,
that
right?
took off his mask as a luchador, and I guess like he was a luchador in training, and he got pissed off, and he wasn't gonna quit, but he was like, "Forget it, I'm just not gonna wrestle with the mask on anymore. I'm gonna, and he took his mask off like after the match he had lost, and they beat the living fuck out of him. The locker room cleared out, and all of the elder luchadors just beat on this fucking guy. And it was like a local indie promotion. There was like 30 people there max in this fucking outdoor PA static filled arena that they had on a lawn with a ring with nothing underneath it. The rings where they have no skirts, so you just see the box frame underneath. That's all it was. Oh, what a highlight.
Like, at this point, right? I can't even say whether I agree or disagree with the people that are upset about it, because my only thing to them at this point is like, what's a good answer for them? Oh, well, we
Yeah.
need to give the title back to AAA. Well, AAA as a whole belongs to WWE now. Well, you need to
Mhm.
give it back to Alberto Del Rio. Well, they're not going to keep Del Rio on the payroll.
No,
Well, you shouldn't have given it
exactly.
to Vikingo because he's a WWE guy. Well, everybody that works for AAA is now a WWE guy.
Yeah.
So,
You
like,
guys would
with
complain if we give it to Chad Gable or El Grande.
Yeah.
God forbid they gave it to El Grande, even though that's why they didn't have him wrestle in AAA, because they said that they weren't sure how people would react, so they had Chad Gable wrestle in AAA, and they had El Grande do it in Money in the Bank, because why would the luchador not be at the luchador festival kind of thing? But they were worried that because of like the
maybe the
Gulf
fact
of
that Chad
the
Gable's
Gulf of
just a fucking
America, and
amazing wrestler.
people were fearing though that he would be attacked basically for being a fake luchador, with how serious they take it there. Like I said, it's essentially a religion. Lucha is
Yeah,
very
I get it.
strict of the rules. So
Oh, I get it. Like, I'm not, and this is where I have to like I have to backpedal a little bit
yeah,
and clarify. Like, I'm not telling people to not be upset if they're upset about something. I'm genuinely saying, like, what's your happy answer at this point? Like,
there is
I
none.
understand. Like, I understand.
Would
Like,
you have had
Cody
Chad
lose.
win it? No, because then they would have complained
No,
about that too. There was no right answer. There was no good call here.
but my point being, like, go back to WrestleMania 39, like,
Yeah.
and we all said, okay, they're gonna make it up next year. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be 40, whatever. But the people that were upset at
Gonna be
39,
huge.
yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. Gonna be great.
I love making you do
Fantastic.
that.
Oh my god. I cannot imagine Tony Khan and Donald Trump in the same room. Anyways,
Oh,
another story
talk
for
about
another
Iran threats, huh? Ooh.
Oh, I ran so far away. I'm an asshole. It's fine. But like, no, but look at the 39 thing. People that didn't
Yeah.
have the patience and the scope to get to 40. I get that. I understand that. People didn't exactly have faith in the WWE long-term machine yet. Understandable, right? But if I went
Yeah.
to them and said, okay, you're upset, what would your happy answer have been? Well, my happy answer would have been Cody finishing the story and beating Roman Reigns and dismantling the bloodline, even though it should have been Jay. I know what their answer would have been. I'm looking at the Vikingo AAA Alberto. AAA is now part of WWE, so everybody that works for AAA is part of WWE. I'm looking at the people that are upset with Vikingo on Saturday, and my genuine question is not, I think you're wrong or I think you need to calm down. My question is, what is your happy answer here? Like, what is your Cody beats Roman and finishes the story, Roddy for
Yeah.
this?
What makes
Like,
up for it? What's your Avengers Endgame? And I don't know that they had anything. What else could they have done? Who could they have had win the title?
I don't understand.
So instead of bemoaning over this fact, you're absolutely right though. And the show was resounding success. AAA Mania was
Sounds
a ton
like
of
it.
fun. That tag match cannot be overstated. Los Garza were immensely over, and those boys deserve the recognition. Humberto,
Of course, yeah.
when you go back to COVID times in WWE, which I just I watched a recap video about the Thunderdome era recently. It was like a 20-minute highlight, and I was like,
don't do it.
well, they were doing a retrospective type thing, and I watched it at 2x speed in my bad habit doing that lately. And I'm going through this, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot just how much he was involved in everything, Humberto. Humberto Carrillo was all over the TV. He was with Seth.
I remember
he
when
was,
Seth.
yeah.
No, that was Angel, wasn't it?
It was Angel, but I'm saying he had the feud with Humberto at that point, and then
right, because Berto was still like babyface.
Yep, and then
because Seth had that weird group. It was him and Austin Theory and Garza and the AOP at one point.
He did the quick turn in the van with the spin around chair. Yeah,
he was
meme.
Joe Hendry before Joe Hendry was Joe Hendry.
Yes,
but here's a case where like you want to talk about, like, obviously some teams are going to be used more than others. Like the New Day and the War Raiders and whatever are going to be used more than Los Garza.
Hire Matt Cardona. What about Karrion Kross? What about Andrade? What about Aleister Black? What about The Miz? You have enough people that aren't being used already. We got Ron the Truth Killings taking on John Cena in a non-title match at SmackDown, which I'll be reviewing live.
Next year we're getting Britt Baker. It's going to be fine. Anyways,
a year away. Gotta temper expectations.
All the hate that Blake Monroe's getting already aside.
Disgusting. And I love the name change.
I do too. I will say, if you want to pick out somebody and send them to to AAA, first of all, there's a cultural significance to sending down Los Garzas to Mexico to AAA to win those AAA titles. It wasn't like they sent down.
How dare you say that?
It wasn't they sent down the Usos or something, which is something else we're going to talk about shortly.
Yes.
But like it was going to be significant to that crowd. It was going to be significant to them.
They could have just sent one man as a tag team, being Goldberg, because we know he counts as two.
Oh, good Lord. I'm not even getting into the Goldberg discourse because it's so even the people that
I am.
Even the people on the Goldberg thing, even the people that I agree with are going way overboard. But no, with Garza's, they did it the right way. They went there and let them be appreciated as themselves. They went in there looking like badasses after they did sort of the same thing with Santos at Worlds Collide.
Yes.
They didn't have Santos with them, so they were there as a tag team, standing on their own 2 feet. They were going up against the Nemeths.
At Worlds Collide, what was the match they added too?
It was the two of them and Santos versus Pagano, Crazy, not Crazy.
Yeah,
Steve,
but
Psycho
I'm saying there was a
Clown
match that was added for a title last second.
The Octagon versus Dominic
there we go.
On the afternoon, yeah.
Yes. That was great as well. And the way they had that follow-up at was that Money in the Bank?
Yeah, that was the same evening.
Yeah.
Basically,
that was great way to carry that over. Like what a way to showcase your AAA talent again. I mean, he was buried, all the same Joe Hendry at Mania with the Orton comments, ridiculous aside.
I love Simon Miller's comment about Dominic Mysterio when he's like, Dominic
Mysterio.
You
love Simon Miller, and I do too. Who doesn't? That guy's like infectiously happy.
Great. He finds like
the good in everything.
He's that as well, but also the goofy.
Yes,
the goofy wrestling for life and all that. But his thing that he put out shortly, he's like, Dominic Mysterio's new gimmick should be he only wrestles shapes.
Yes, I saw that because he was taking on Octagon and. There was somebody else with a shape that he took on.
Actually, for those of you that like Simon Miller, like we like Simon Miller, he actually started doing it. Yeah, he started doing his proper podcast again this week.
Oh,
Pretty
did
good.
he?
I got a question in because it's not what culture.
Nice.
Anyway,
look at that. You can actually not be on the block list.
Stuff. It's not run by Sidge and Murray. But anyways, moving
I'm blocked by
on.
many former podcasts too, my friend. So don't feel bad.
I'm more surprised by the ones on Facebook that still are following me for some reason. But hey,
the ones I'm still an admin on and can't get rid of. For the love of God.
Hey, I don't want to say anything. That's neither here nor out of nowhere.
For the love of God, I can't even see my own notifications. Take me off. I don't want to know.
But anyways, the point that I'm trying to get to, and I'm taking a long time to get there, is throwing Los Garzas down in AAA
Yes.
for
Was
this
not a
show.
demotion.
No, it wasn't, but it was a great example of, oh my God, WWE is just trying to own stuff. Okay.
Not at
They're
all. They're using
gonna
talent.
yeah. Well, they did. This is the
People
thing.
complain they're not using talent. When they use them, they complain that they're using them because then they're
Yep.
taking over, or they're not. They didn't
No,
need to have
the new
the
thing
AAA
thing
team
is
win. They're showing
the
you a
new
new
thing.
AAA team.
Yeah, the new thing is now well, AAA is just proof that they're gonna go and buy TNA. I'm like, they're not. Why would they buy TNA? They're already benefiting from that deal.
Yeah.
But my point being is, oh, they've got all these little spaces to put people. Like they can send somebody back to NXT, they can send somebody over to TNA, they can send somebody over to AAA. Isn't that a good thing?
Nope.
And can't those
Nope.
people send
Because if you
people
get
over?
sent to AAA, it means that you're getting demoted. If you get sent to TNA, guess what? Demoted. There was a point in time where TNA was TN Zombie. It really was. Like it couldn't be killed.
Oh, when it was
but it was
cosplaying as
barely
WWE
alive.
too. Yeah.
Well, not even just that. Like for even the years after Drew, what was he there? Not it was before Galloway, and all that stuff happened. But they were on so many different networks, and then they just weren't on TV anymore. And for a long time, it didn't work. Now they have obviously TNA Access and all that stuff, and they have a free model now involved with that allows you to see the streams after the fact for free. How cool is that? So really cool of them to add a free model there. I thought that was really classy.
I think it's a really cool thing that they're doing, but I understand why people are upset about it. The fact that they're like doing a pay-per-view and then dropping it on YouTube like 5 days later. I kind of get people being upset with that.
I don't. If you want to see it live, guess what?
Yeah,
you got to pay up. If you don't, then you can see it in a few days. I don't see why people get upset with this. Like
it's a very short string of very strict people that say if I had to pay for it, everybody should have to pay for it. Okay,
yeah,
I'll go see some. I'll go see something.
Selfish mindset. And they didn't. They don't tip either.
No, it's fair. No,
it's
but
a very elitist
idea...
mindset of like this was mine, and I can't. It shouldn't be viewed unless you paid for access. And I get the point behind it, because then it's like, well, then what was the point of me paying? But the point of paying was to see it at the time. So
that's what I'm saying is I don't agree with it, and I think on the other end of the coin, like they've made the money they're going to make off of it on the night. After that, it's no longer like Against All Odds just passed, right?
Yeah.
If you watched Against All Odds on the night on the app, and the app is fucking great anyway, by the way. But if you watched it on the night, you gave them the money, you got to see it live, you didn't get any spoilers, you got whatever you want to say in tight air quotes, the live experience, right?
Yes.
After that, the minute that show goes off the air, the content of that show becomes an ad for the next show. Yes. Every episode of Raw, like we talk about, like every episode of Raw should build to a pay-per-view, right? But every episode of Raw is a 3-hour ad for the next episode of Raw.
Exactly.
But like I say, I get where they're coming from. Like from a strict, like, does what they're saying make sense point of view? Yes, I'm not on board with it. Anyways, moving swiftly on, and I think they're gonna have. Speaking of TNA, I think they're gonna have AJ Francis and Casey Navarro pick up the NXT tag titles. I think that's how that's gonna work out. But the Garzas, in general, picking up the AAA title, I hope they make a huge fucking deal about that on SmackDown, obviously. I hope they get to carry them onto SmackDown, because I know the guys that hold Destiny titles don't exactly carry them onto TNA, which I wish they would, but that's selfish of me.
I wish they just showed up with those everywhere. Like, if you have a belt like that and an indie promotion, you should just be repping it 24/7. I'm sorry, you should be. Like, if you have my belt, I would also pay the talent to do so. But if you have my belt, I want you treating it like it's the belt.
It's not the talent that you have to pay, though. Like, if I was running an indie fed and the wrestler that has one of my titles also works for, let's just say AEW, for the sake of being neutral, right? I wouldn't expect my champion to be able to carry that belt onto their show unless
they
spoke
should
to Tony
be on
Khan
social media posting about the belt.
On socials.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
getting
getting at. Like, they need to be repping the title as much as possible.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
maybe that's I'm saying like, yeah, they're not gonna be able to walk on Dynamite, but let's be
Joe Hendry walking into WrestleMania with the TNA belt on his shoulder. Jordan Grace, when she was the Knockouts champion, walking into the Rumble with that belt over. Even Mickey James, when it was the Impact title. Like, that in itself is a separate conversation to have. Because we would love to have this talent for the night, and we want to talk about like where they can be found and well, but now you're carrying an icon of the other company, and
Yeah.
it's I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Obviously, it's a good thing. We should all be helping each other out, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Maybe not the Mud Show, but it is what it is. But I can't at the same time say that by sending your guy to another show with your title, you're kind of asking for free advertising. Now, with AAA, it's different because AAA is a WWE product. There's no reason to have them not carry those titles around. But then again, there's also rumors that some of their belts are going to be revamped that a lot of people are really upset about. So you can't please anybody ever. I'm really happy for them. I will say the Garzas are two of the most underused guys ever that we still see on TV at all. Because they're there, guaranteed, if we were introducing a new tag team tomorrow, they would, if they were going to SmackDown, they'd be debuting against the Garzas because they're those guys, but not now. Anyways, I just think it's really cool. I think belts hopping between brands, between either brands within companies or
Yeah.
like even something like
I
when
didn't
Becky
realize it
went back.
muted me, and I'm talking to you, and it's just not going
Yeah,
through.
I just kept talking.
You just know when there's no dead air to be had. You just keep rolling on through, and that's why I
I'll just
appreciate you just being a utmost professional as I'm vomiting into a
That's a lie.
sandwich baggie. That's why I had initially
That's a
muted
lie.
myself. And as I'm
But no,
dying,
like even something like
you hold on
in-house, like
strong.
yeah, even something in-house like Becky Lynch going to NXT is still a big deal. So AAA being new in general, and the Garzas being able to bring those belts onto SmackDown, the belts being there, giving them a chance to talk about AAA, et cetera, et cetera. It's huge, and I'm happy for those guys to be part of it. I don't know what they do with Santos now. Do they walk away from him because they were teasing some dissension before Worlds Collide? But it opens up
Yeah.
a whole new conversation, a whole new way of doing things. Like we know Trick Williams is defending the TNA title against another NXT guy and Josh Briggs next week. Are the Garzas going to go and defend against Pretty Deadly on Friday? Are they going to put out an open challenge? Are the
Yeah,
Garzas going to be taken out
exactly.
by the Wyatt Six?
You know
Like,
what
what are we doing here?
happens? We don't know.
I don't have a cough button. It's fine. But anyways, I think like there's not much to say about it other than the Garzas did the thing and it's fun. You know what's not fun? And I have to talk about this in two halves. I have to talk about what we were going to get, and then obviously we have to talk about somebody getting injured. Liv Morgan got herself all fucked up on Monday. That
Yeah,
sucked,
she's gonna be
and
out
it
for
looked like it
6
sucked.
months too, is the prerogative we're hearing, and it's
6
heartbreaking
months
because
minimum.
this is, I dislocated my shoulder before. I know how much it hurts. It sucks, and if it's a really bad separation, she might need surgery. Like you don't know for her to be that. I hope it's I know it's a legitimate injury, but I hope that's a swerve, and they're like, yeah, it's just a bad dislocation. She'll be good in 4 weeks'
Yeah.
time. I was hoping it'd be like 6 weeks. She'll be good to go. This screws up the Bellas. She's got to now. They got to do what? Her and Roxanne, Raquel and Roxanne get the
something.
belts, Freebird style, or
Something.
they have to relinquish them. I don't want to see
Well,
them
here's what
vacated. I guess they
you
had to
mentioned.
scrap a bunch for Evolution. That's upsetting. Like all of it is
Yeah.
just upsetting, unfortunately.
You mentioned it before, and it was basically Rhea Ripley who wasn't even involved in this, just calling everybody else out and telling them not to be shit, right?
Yeah,
But
because
like
people were legitimately celebrating
people
her.
celebrating Liv getting injured, people blaming Kyrie, people saying, oh, like Kyrie herself, who's just come back from being really fucked up. It's like, oh, I guess she never should have come back. All this other fucking bullshit. It's just like shit happens, man. I don't
Yeah,
know. Other companies are
exactly.
dropping people off of scissor lifts and onto pyro that doesn't work. But
Yeah.
like, here's the thing about this, and I
Woo!
don't want to gloss over the Liv Morgan injury because like the Liv
It
Morgan
was
injury should
severe
be
and
the
at the
main
worst
story.
possible time, not just booking wise, but like it was right at the beginning of the match. And some people are trying to say it was Kyrie's fault because she held her leg, which made Liv have to land on her weight completely on her right shoulder. And I'm
Well,
like,
it
it looked
was
like a
the
normal
maneuver
takedown.
the maneuver
Yeah.
that she did was a leg trip
It
so
looked like
you
a
can't
normal
trip somebody's
takedown.
leg without. Yeah,
Yeah,
but here's
it was
unfortunately
unavoidable, it seemed like.
there is a bunch. Even before this happened, there was a bunch of really fucked up options, and I didn't like any of them, and I don't like any of the options that we have now
No,
because
because a lot of it just doesn't fit or make sense.
right. So originally, before Liv Morgan got injured, right, and this does tie into tag team wrestling because it has to do with one of the tag team champions, right?
Yes.
Originally,
The
there was
only
three.
women's tag team champions.
Yes. Well, I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying. There's no
t-
other
t-
belt, so like they are the only tag team champion, and now one's out. So
fair, yeah.
it's fucked. It's foobarred.
But here's the thing, right? Like we talked
It's
about it last
bad.
week when I
Or
said, like,
Raquel.
why are we doing Nikki Bella versus Liv? Why isn't she doing a tag team thing, right? And then the rumor came out that they were trying
Yes.
to coax Brie to come back over,
I
and
guess
they
it was
didn't know
less
what.
about coaxing her and more about getting her cleared. Apparently, there's still some stemming, nagging issues that she's had from
Yeah.
before. So it was less about her needing to want to do it and more about, oh shit, can she do it? So,
Okay, so and then you get the interference between Raquel and Rhea, which seems to be a separate thing. Like they just like fighting each other. Like that's been a thing since NXT UK, I think.
yeah,
They
exactly.
just I've seen their other matches in NXT, Raquel and Rhea. Some of them are awesome, and some of them kind of fall off a little bit. And this is me talking about Rhea Ripley, so if I say it's fallen off, then damn. But like, look at those three options. Number one, Nikki versus Liv doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. It's Evolution. She's got a tag title. She should be defending it. Why is Nikki here? Option number two, Liv and Raquel defend those tag team titles against the Bellas. Again, why? There's plenty of people on the active roster that are actually wrestlers that aren't the Amber Herds of wrestling that could have that title opportunity. Number three, they can't get Brie. So now the tag title match becomes Liv and Raquel versus Nikki Bella and Rhea Ripley. Make that one make sense. Now the option is,
Yeah.
as you said, they're gonna do Freebird rule and throw Roxanne into the
Maybe,
mix,
unless they go ahead and do like a, hey, screw you, it's you know, you're gonna have to relinquish the titles. I hope not, because for
I
Raquel's
hope they don't
sake,
do that.
I never like it when they have to, you know, do the
Here's the
relinquish
thing.
thing. It's just it
Here's the
doesn't
thing.
feel good. You know it as
I
well as
will
I
take
do.
it if they do, because they're building this dissension between the Judgment Day anyway. If they want to freebird it and have Raquel and Roxanne defend those titles for a little bit, I don't have a problem with that. It pushes that story forward, and it, like you say, it keeps it from being relinquished entirely. It will kind of mirror the Bianca, Naomi, and Jade story that they had on SmackDown with the same titles. So
Yeah.
that's not ideal. But if they want to freebird and carry those titles for a bit, but even still, the option at that point is now Raquel and substitute champion Roxanne Perez defend against the Bellas. Why? Or Raquel and substitute champion Roxanne Perez defend against Nikki Bella and Rhea Ripley. Why?
Yeah. It
There's
is
5
weird.
options I've just laid out to you, both pre and post injury. Why? Any of them, why? Liv versus Nikki. Why? Liv and Raquel versus the Bellas. Why? Liv and Raquel versus Nikki Bella and Rhea Ripley. What the fuck is that?
You know who's my favorite tag
Raquel.
team right now is Mercedes Moné and the Beast Mortos, because
Oh
they're
God.
apparently
Oh
dating.
God.
Did you hear about that? They're dating?
Oh God.
What?
God.
She's
Why?
taming the bull. You know what she's
No,
doing to
she's a-
that mask? She's riding that thing.
No, she's
Those
all over
tusks?
social media. No, she's all over social media calling themselves Beauty and the Beast.
Oh God. I was
Fuck
kidding,
me.
but Elijah apparently hurt
Fuck.
his arm in the 6-man tag. He
Okay.
injured his left arm on NXT. Somehow it appears nobody noticed. Hopefully it's not too serious. Some are thinking it may be a torn tricep. He tried to do the Undertaker old school. He landed really weird on his elbow and appeared to injure it. He basically didn't use
Yeah, he
his
did
arm
too,
for the
didn't he?
rest of the match, and somehow it wasn't brought up.
I heard something about that a couple
So,
years ago. Like somebody
yeah.
was talking about working with Elijah. I don't remember who was given the interview, but it was basically like, yeah, it's really impressive if you watch Elijah, because you were talking about WWE stuff. If you
Yeah.
watch Elias work, you wouldn't know how many times that guy's gotten injured because he's really
Elijah.
good at covering it up. Yeah.
Elijah. You're going to get us sued. God.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You want to get
Yeah, because they
sued?
can do it on NXT. It's fine. But no, like the whole comment is like you would never know how many times that guy's been injured. He got really good at covering it up, and I'm like, that's not a good thing.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's commendable, like it's dedication to what you're doing, but it's not ideal.
Not at all.
And tag team friggin' like what was it, like 6-on-3 in that match anyway?
Yeah,
Some big boys.
exactly. So
Some big
whatever,
boys.
but yeah, I know.
But like, I'm sorry, going back to the women's tag team thing again, I say it, you've got one really strong women's group. Now that they've officially disbanded Damage Control, you've got one really good group in NXT right now that just took out Blake Monroe. One of them's got a champion to defend, the other two don't. Take Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley and give them a shot at the champions that are really one substitute champion anyway. I don't know. The Bellas don't need to be there. The Bellas don't need to be there, and it doesn't need to be for a title. And I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it now.
Uh-oh.
People are we talked about CM Punk and the whole Saudi thing on the last pod, so I'm not going to get into that too much. I find it really funny that people are going to take CM Punk's comments about Saudi and now try to make him out to be a hypocrite, but they don't seem to have any problem with Nikki Bella, who hops on the wheel of make some money from WWE, shit on WWE, make some more money off of WWE, shit on WWE. Like, okay, take out the fact that I don't like her. Make that make sense. Make people being okay with that make sense.
Yeah. Like it's not a great feeling at all. It's really
I
not,
don't know.
you
It's
know?
weird.
It
It's
is.
like there are so many other options, and like the other thing is to like I know one of them already has a title, kind of, but I don't think she'll be defending it at Evolution. There's no reason you couldn't do like if you wanted to do like a little and a big versus a little and a big. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
If you want to do like Raquel and Roxanne versus another team, do Sol Ruka and Zarya. They're right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying they have to win. I'm not
No.
saying, but like every now and then, because if you want to say that you took out the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships because you wanted to amalgamate them with the main roster titles, then every now and then you got to do something to remind people that it's an all three brand title.
Exactly. I mean, something's got to be done.
I don't know. It's going to be, they're going to throw something together that's stupid because if they cancel, they've brought back the Bellas now. So if they cancel the match, weird people that watch reality TV instead of wrestling are going to be upset that they didn't get a Nikki Bella match in 2025.
Sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I'm sorry, but the Gunther Goldberg thing I don't mind that Gunther Goldberg is happening. You didn't need to give Gunther the title back for this, though.
Not at all.
If you wanted to have like an exhibition with the Bellas and somebody, like I don't want Nikki Bella on my screen at all, but Nikki Bella for one night stepping up to Tiffany Stratton
could have been
be
fun.
okay, I guess.
I thought that's where they were gonna go with it. Honest to God, I really, really did.
Because like here's the thing.
I didn't think they were gonna have, and then her and Liv would have probably been one-on-one better if she wasn't the tag champ. But I'm like, all right, they're gonna get her sister involved. I get what they're going for, but then it really just went topsy-turvy, no?
But here's the one of the and it's a point that I've driven to death on a lot of podcasts now. I think it's worth mentioning again that WWE has moved so far away from the diva era that diva can be a gimmick, and you get somebody like Tiffany Stratton who's awesome. So
no, you're absolutely right.
There would be some like there would be like a cool meta element to Tiffany Stratton versus Nikki Bella. I don't need to see it, but there's something there, and they're not going to put a world title on Nikki Bella. I still have enough faith in the company that they wouldn't do that. They don't care about the tag titles, which is unfortunate. So I could see them putting them on the Bellas, which is also really unfortunate. But
yeah,
like I say, there was 3 bad options before Liv got injured. There's 2 bad options after Liv got injured. The real story is the fact that Liv got injured, and that fucking sucks because, like, A, you don't want it to happen to anybody, but B, she's like one of the biggest success stories in the women's division right now, next to Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, essentially, you know? And it sucks to have it work out this way. It really does, but
It felt like, I don't know how they do it with Dom, right? But it felt like with the popularity that they were just on the cusp of like splitting up the Judgment Day, and then the crowd would have just been able to cheer Liv and maybe even cheer Dom like they did at WrestleMania. So
yeah.
like just on the cusp of so many things.
Just maybe.
Just the tip, just for a second, just to see how it
Just a
feels.
little bit. Oh, just put it in. And now I'm
God damn it.
pregnant. God damn it.
And now we're
Oh.
demonetized, which is not a thing because I'm not monetized. Hey,
Sanitized flashbang.
you know what though? If I
And
was
we rewound.
monetized,
You're
if I
gonna
was
hate me for
monetized,
this one.
oh dear.
I'm all over this place, but sorry.
What
sir.
people need to realize is that when Jake is recording these for me because I'm retarded on Discord, I don't hear the sounds that you guys are hearing until afterwards.
Yeah.
So any sound effects that he's sort of randomly jammed in there, pause. I'm not going to hear until I listen to it the next day.
Yeah.
So it's a bad plan on my part, really, is what we're saying.
And I try
But
not
if
to
I was,
inundate them, but every now and again, like in the beginning, it was funny because it was just the voice thing that I had was
Yeah.
testing out before, which was kind of, hey,
Yeah.
but it is cool. They added a bunch of new features where you can just select an artist now. Like before, you used to have to feed it material. Now I can just be like, oh, I want to sound like Drake. I want to sound like Diddy. I want to sound like 50 Cent. I want to sound like a banana with lube all over it. And they're like,
I
we
don't
got you.
I don't think anybody wants to sound like Diddy, but let's not.
A Diddy, a
Let's
banana, and a
just-
bottle of baby oil is what it suggested to me on AI. But is it weird?
Nobody wants to
I tried to put out a tweet before, but ChatGPT said no. I was like, is it weird that I thank the AI after it does my menial task for me? It generated a really shitty but great thumbnail for tonight that I just went with my face being like,
Nice.
hey. And I did it as a
Nice.
joke at first because I told everybody I'm testing the YouTube thumbnail algorithm. They give you a few options where you can go ahead and have this input where it's like, hey, this is the thumbnail you have. This is the one we generated. We're going to test it here and here, and we'll let you know which works better. So I can
Nice.
give them 3 thumbnails. They'll tell me which one got the most clicks. And so far, the AI ones are doing better than my own. So I don't know if that's embarrassing or infuriating or motivating. Maybe all of the above. But still, point being.
Well, if we were motivated and if I was monetized, you know what I
Yes.
could do?
Ooh.
You know what I could do? I could go to a party.
Bite into a Slim Jim?
I could go to a party. No, that's the Slim Jim table you're snapping into. But I could go to a party. I could, if I get my money up, I could even go to a private party.
I thought it was
We're
the
getting
pants party that everybody was coming to, but no, it's a private party. Oh, baby.
We're getting private party in WWE, aren't we?
We are. And you know what?
Good.
Do they go to NXT?
I would say yes.
I think so. And I think they need to because as good as they are, as veteran status as they might have, they need to be established with the WWE audience more than just a simple video package.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Must have been when you were kissing me.
Must have been a little bit of leftovers. I told my wife before.
I think they get the same kind of treatment that Stephanie McQuay and God damn it, I thought I was gonna get through that. That Stephanie McCour and Julia got, where it's like, come on,
she
in,
really
get your
shit
feet.
the bed on that one, huh?
I mean,
Jeff Harvey.
God. Nikki Bella's not good at existing. It's fine.
But she did justify it the next day. She's like, not only was I nervous, but
I
was
care.
trying to
She's
say
talking
it.
out of her ass.
She's like, I was
She's
trying to
talking out of
say
her
it with a
ass.
little pizzazz. And I'm like, you just didn't know her fucking name. Shut up.
That would be like me calling you Jacquay.
Yes.
Anyways, switching back and over to private party. I do see them. I mean, I don't know anything from anything. We don't have sources. It's fine, but I can see them getting like the quick, like, intentional 6-month or less contract, like Stephanie Vacour. I almost fucked it up again. And Julia got and we all thought Jordan Grace was going to get as well, but it seems like she's hanging around for a bit. But
seems
basically,
like she's
come on,
staying, you know.
Yeah, come on in, get your feet wet, and then we'll move you up relatively quickly. But I mean, there's some decent matches to have down there. I want to see them go up against the bigger teams like the culling. As much as people don't like the gimmick, I mean, Sean Spears is good. The big dude with him, Nico Vance, is good. The two guys, Tyson and Tyreek, that are with Wes Lee are a lot of fun. Briggs and Inamura are fun. There's a lot of characters down there as well. They can do a little bit of character work. They've already got that very, like, the whole thing with them coming out with the guard opening up the velvet rope to the club. Like, that's a very NXT vibe. I don't
Yeah,
want to be like, I don't want to be putting people in spots and saying you can't move from this spot, but it is a very NXT type thing.
it is.
Like,
No, and it absolutely
if
is.
if Crucifino ends up actually being a good guy and actually staying on Tony's side, you can get Private Party versus the Family. You don't have to go to the restaurant. You can come to the club. And I shouldn't do voices. It's fine. But I mean, like, they could be fun in NXT, and then they could have that almost like, we're on the main roster now, fun's over, let's kick some ass, like that
Yeah,
turnover.
exactly.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. And they'll get shit on. They will. Like JC Mateo's getting shit on, like friggin' Blake Monroe's getting shit on, like Penta and Ray are getting shit
I
on, like
know, but
Cody gets shit on. We've done this, and
I
we've
mean,
done
but
this, and we've done
sometimes
this.
it really
Sometimes
does.
people crash out.
Yeah, but sometimes it really does break your heart too. You know what I mean? Like after a while, you're like, really, really, like this is what we're going. Really? All
Like,
right. Like,
you asked me, you always check in with me to see where I'm at with AEW. Colin,
yes.
you don't actually hate them, do you? And I was
Yeah.
like, well, I don't hate them. I don't want them to fail. I just don't care if
You're
they
not
fail.
sending death threats in the mail again, are you, sir?
No, no, I got caught. I learned my lesson. It's
I
fine.
know you did a thing
But
where you
like,
can't
but
travel
there's
out of the country. I know. But
well, I could come visit you, but
well, Tony
somebody's gonna
was
set
in
my
my DMs,
so,
but for a different
somebody's
legal
gonna set my
reason.
somebody's gonna set my non-existent car on fire. Anyways, it's
Oh,
fine. But like,
it's only my
we
ex.
we 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 talked the hell out of this last pod. I'm going to say it again. You actively want AEW to succeed. I don't care if they succeed or not. So many people on the other side actively want WWE to fail, and that's the difference. And that's where I go back to, once again, I'm not saying I'm the most mature person in the room. I am saying if I'm standing in a room and I'm the adult, there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm not here trying to be an adult, guys.
And you know
I'm not here
what's
trying to talk about serious shit most of the time. Also,
well,
free shout
really
out
quickly,
to,
while you're saying,
yeah.
yeah, Carlin,
Oh,
get your shout out. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
I'll get my shout out. The guys over at the Wrestling for Life Network are doing a live stream at the end of this month. I'm not sure the day. Go check out their social feeds. They are doing a special dedicated live stream talking all about men's mental health for Men's Mental Health
Oh, how
Month.
great.
So shout out to those guys. Those guys are always giving a little bit of a lean to those types of topics, and they're way better at vocalizing it than I am. So
Yeah,
please go show them some love in general, because
they
their watch
deserve it.
along content is
Absolutely.
great. But they also do little extra things like this that are just like, they're just good dudes. KJ, Nick, Anthony, really, really good dudes. Hope to have them on here with us one day anyway.
Absolutely.
But
We have
go
tried to
check
meet
out
up
what
with
they're,
them. They were down. It was just a matter of scheduling. But
yeah.
I wanted to send thoughts and some warm fuzzies Alexa Bliss's way. So she was on Twitter saying that her cousin passed away from
Yeah, I saw
cancer,
that.
and people went ahead and attacked her
Oh,
because she said
fuck.
she was dedicating her spot towards, for Queen of the Ring for her cousin, and people were like, "Oh, it's not a battle for cancer. It's how ridiculous. You're making it all about you." I'm like, "You people are
People are fucking
horrific."
shit, man.
I
People are
mean,
fucking shit.
what does it matter? It's not like WWE's being like, this match is dedicated to, they're not. It's not in stories. It's her personal Twitter, and that was the problem. Cody and I were kind of going over before about the death of kayfabe, and it's to the point now where these people, it's Lexi Kaufman. It's not Alexa Bliss on there,
Mhm.
and that's the problem I think that people have, because they
I'm sorry,
forget
like,
that there's a difference, and there's a dichotomy that
I do
they're
have
not
to
able to
I
shift
do have to disagree.
between.
I do have to disagree with you on that one. And I'm gonna. This is one of those points in the podcast where I have to say I'm standing on my own. Jake might not be with me on this one. That kind of behavior is so removed from the kayfabe conversation. Because if it was part of the kayfabe conversation, it would be like, "Oh, this happens to wrestlers." No, Shitty people,
True.
shitty people happen to everybody. I don't care who that is. I don't care if it's
Yeah.
somebody you just stumbled on X one day,
No,
and
I
you say this
co-sign
kind of
big time with this. I see your point.
like
No, absolutely.
no, but it gets looped, and I know you're not trying to assuage the
No,
topic.
no,
I get
no,
that.
not at
That's
all.
not yours and Cody's goal at all. But
Absolutely not.
I think it's so separate from the kayfabe conversation because don't do it to anybody. Because making
Yeah,
it a conversation about kayfabe makes it a hey, don't do this to wrestlers. Don't do it to
exactly.
anybody. Don't be a shithead. It's like the
You nailed it. Yeah, we weren't
what's
touching on that with our discussion. Our discussion was just strictly
yeah.
about how kayfabe is no longer alive, and it's a different type of kayfabe
Oh
where
no, that's
people
fine.
just go ahead and they agree to be part of the magic nowadays. Like they know it's
Yeah.
fake. As we're back in the day, people had to believe it was real. People now know it's fake, but they play along. So kayfabe is alive and well, but in a different iteration. It
I do think
evolved. It
there's
didn't die.
a
It evolved.
yeah, I do think there is an element where if you thought it was real and you were reacting to it because you thought it was really happening, that's one thing. If you know it's kayfabe, fake, planned, predetermined, whatever you want to say, and you then make the choice to go along with it anyway, you're kind of like double dedicating yourself to what you're watching. I do think there's a level of immersion that is voluntary and that can make you more enjoy it. Uh, but again, with the Alexa Bliss stuff with her cousin passing and her just like sharing her thoughts, basically, don't be a dickhead. It's like we didn't find out until who was it? We didn't find out until this week that like after WrestleMania at some point, Undertaker had gone in for like open heart surgery or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And then over the course of last weekend, we find out that also the Godfather was in a car accident.
Yeah, and thankfully he walked away without a scratch, you said, which is impossible to believe when you look at that wreck. But even more shocking,
His entire post was like talking about how good his car is.
yeah, insane.
But here's the thing,
Well,
like
how can you
Taker and like
not
because
argue that fact?
we know the rumors from back in the day. Oh, you know, they had wrestlers court and they did some mean things in the back. But like 20 years later, you got one guy that could have died, you got one guy that could have been splattered against a tree, and you got a bunch of people reacting, that's fine, they're assholes anyway. No, no, just no.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Anyways, I
Trump
don't know how
Trump is removing the press 3 option on the suicide hotline, which is the LGBTQ youth
oh
service.
good. I'm not
So,
touching that with a 10-foot
well,
pole.
during Men's Health Month, for him to get rid
Yeah,
of that,
fair. Fair.
it's a bit shocking.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring this up is because people already are in crisis and have enough to worry about. Wrestling is supposed
Yeah.
to be fun, not divisive. People get upset
Yeah.
about the most ridiculous things, and I'm sorry, when I used to review it with a negative mindset, I know I was a bit more hateful because
Mhm,
it was fun to be vitriolic and a bit
mhm,
hyperbolic at times. This is the worst ever. But
mhm.
to be fair, a lot of times what we were watching was really pure dog shit. Maybe we
Oh, of
got a light
course,
in the
yeah.
tunnel. We got John Cena and AJ Styles, and but most of the last like 5 years before Triple H took over was
Mhm.
pretty piss poor booking. I mean, even
But
how they
here's the
were
thing, right?
handling Roman up until that point as a heel was not great initially. Think about how Vince had him going up against a demon that was flailing on the floor like a fish. Like it wasn't
Okay,
it
but
wasn't great.
I don't even think that was specific to Roman. I don't think Vince ever knew what to do with the demon, which could be an entire podcast in and of itself.
And it
But the
has
point of it
been.
is, right? Like, there's so many people that do the, "Oh, well, if you don't like it, just don't watch." Well, I'm not watching, or I'm not watching nearly as much. We're recording this right now instead of me watching the AEW Super Show in Mexico. Like,
I have
this
not
is where
watched AEW live in
mm,
months, minus the pay-per-view that we last covered,
yeah,
Double or Nothing. I have not watched a live broadcast of AEW in forever because we're always recording or busy on Wednesdays.
yeah.
Tomorrow night, I'm going to be joining in on the Music Maniacs
I'm
podcast as a
yeah,
guest. I'm excited for that.
I'm just saying, like, building on your point though, like,
Yeah.
you don't wanna be
There's not a
negative all the
need to
time.
watch it.
You
Exactly.
don't wanna be
You need
you
to
don't wanna be
actively
negative
hate this nowadays.
yes,
You have to be trying to be mad because Raw is
but
entertaining, goddammit. So is
here's the thing.
SmackDown. Like,
I
it's
get to
not.
come on this podcast, and no matter what we're talking about, I get to sit here with my buddy Jake, and we have a good time, and we'll find something to joke about, even if it's, super inappropriate. But like, I'd rather be here doing this than watching AEW. Now, am I going to flip on AEW while I'm editing this and uploading it for you guys to listen to? Of course I am, because I want to be in the know. Because there is that other part of me that I've said, and I know I've said it to you before. I think I've said it on the pod as well. is if I'm going to shit on something, I am actually going to watch it. I'm not just going to do my shitting on something based on assumptions, because that's something that I think is important, right? But there's a reason I don't review Dynamite. There's a reason I don't review Collision. There's a reason, like, I hop on to talk about stuff when you're doing your review, and I'll toss in my 2 cents if I've got it, but normally we've got 3 or 4 other shows to talk about.
Yeah.
But, like, this isn't an AEW show. This isn't an AEW podcast. And the thing about it is, like, we come in here, this is therapy. Like KJ and Nick said it the other night on one of their live streams, and I'll say it here, talking about wrestling is therapy as much as watching wrestling is therapy. If
And so is
we're
us talking to each other, and so is us. You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like, that's the point
And
here. The community,
everybody
the
listening to
sense
the everybody
of
listening
all
to the
of it.
sound of my voice right now, you guys are taking part in our therapy session, right? So
Absolutely.
because it is like that, and because we
Bananas
all,
out, my
like,
friend. Bananas out.
hey, where'd my peel go?
Oh,
Anyways, but the whole point of it being is, like, I'm gonna watch the stuff that I like, and I'm gonna hype up the stuff that I like, and I'm gonna shit on the rest because, like, there's very little medium ground wrestling.
yeah.
Is the point that I'm trying to get to. Like, if I think something is really good, it's fantastic. If I think something is really, really shit, it's not gonna drag me down because I can laugh at it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You
Like,
nailed it.
nobody I hate to pick on them for this, but it is an easy one to think of. The barbed wire exploding whatever that turned out to be sparklers.
Yeah.
Did we come up here and did we have a good shit about that? Yes. Am I pulling my hair out saying, "Oh my god, they've ruined wrestling"? No. I think some of the stuff they do backstage ruins wrestling, but I'm not there.
Yeah, but you're, like you said, you're not there, and you know what to expect.
But I'm not sitting there.
And you have tempered expectations, my friend. You
Exactly.
know what to have,
But
what to do,
getting
what
back to my
behold.
point, and where I tried to pull, I know we got to this from the Alexa Bliss thing,
Yes.
where I want to pull this away from the kayfabe conversation, and where I want to say that just don't do it to anybody. You want to think all the time that you're throwing your fandom out at wrestlers on social media, like, hey, I just saw Kenny at Kenny Omega Man X had a really good match or whatever. You think about it as you're throwing it out there as a topic because the people that follow you are going to see that topic.
Yes.
But there's a person on the other end of that hashtag or that at or whatever, right?
That's
So
often forgotten about under the veil of
exactly.
anonymity.
So
I said this
if
to you
you're out
before.
there,
I said it to my daughter. What sucks is now, bullying follows you home. It used to just be like, oh, the bullies stay at school.
oh yeah, for
Now
sure.
you're forever followed online. Everything you do, everywhere you go. I mean, look at how the Minnesota shooter there that took out the lawmakers, the husband and wife, and put the other in the hospital.
Mhm.
God, how they survived, I don't know. They were shot 5 and 6 times apiece, and she shielded her daughter from bullets. Like, so harrowing and frightening. That photo of him standing at the door with the mask on is nightmare fuel. And they found him. Why? Because a hunter had a trail cam and he appeared on it. Like,
Yeah.
you can't hide anymore. There's no way. They had a reflection.
Okay, but that's an example. That's an example of it kind of being good that we
Mhm.
can't hide. But what I'm saying is, like, we've gone from Undertaker was a really popular character for a long time, but you know what? Spooky characters aren't exactly for me. Hope other people enjoyed them. Let's have a good day. We've gone from that to
Reasonable.
he's retired. He's come out and made some political things that I don't agree with. How dare he support the police, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, maybe I don't need to fall. Okay, we've gone from, okay, maybe he's not my favorite wrestler, to maybe that's not a podcaster that I need to listen to. And we've jumped off the deep end to, I would have been okay if you died.
Yeah, somehow people really shit the bed with this one.
Like, it's absolutely unreal. And I do not know how we got here off of the private party speculation at all. Love it that we're on a total stream of
But I love when
consciousness
you and
tonight.
yes, we have these wavelengths podcasts, I call them the stream of consciousness episodes, where you and I just go from top to bottom, whatever's on our mind, we get it out. And that's exactly what happened here.
Remember before we hit record when I said I thought this podcast was going to be a shorter one.
An hour
Anyways.
and 23 minutes later, no, we were deep
Of
in
course,
the
yeah.
end zone, my friend.
Deep. And I'm recording a solo pod tomorrow. There's your cheap plug. I'm not
And I'm
telling
going
you what the
live
topic
tonight.
is.
So
Hey,
I will
there
have
you are.
already been live by the time people hear this, but don't forget, I'll be live this Friday for the SmackDown review. If you're available, sir, do pop in
Boom.
quickly or stay the whole night to say hi. It's up to you if you have any free time. But if not, we'll catch
Yeah,
you.
go check out what Jake and Cody are doing over on Jake's channel as well with the Guilty or Guilt Free.
Yes, we have the most
I
recent
got to catch up.
episode
I'm
up
not gonna
there.
lie.
You will enjoy this one. It's the booking of CM Punk since returning to WWE, how he's
Oh, it's been
handled,
awesome.
and well, has
He
it?
hasn't.
You know, we don't know
He hasn't been
exactly.
threatened by his employers.
We got to see if it is
Um,
indeed guilty or guilt free. WWE's booking and handling of CM Punk. So it's awesome, but has it been really up to snuff? You know, is WWE
fair,
guilty or guilt free in the
fair.
booking and how they handled
I'm
Punk?
sure there are arguments to the contrary, and I'm sure there's very legitimate arguments to the contrary. And it is from my
It's a
biases.
very, very
It's
biased but interesting
yeah.
conversation to be had. You nailed it.
It's
It's
one of those ones where it's like we never thought we were gonna have this, so I'm gonna
absolutely.
take it in whatever form it
And I
turns.
did my best to try and be as objective as possible. But the problem was there, I was unwavering in my positivity with how just in love I've been with Punk's
Mm,
return. I don't feel like they've made a fumble yet. Even with the Saudi Arabia announcement, I feel like this elevates the match instead of doing it just at Money in the Bank because their history is Money in the Bank. Well, only like it's not Money in the Bank isn't special. It's not like they had a Money in the Bank match. It's not.
I
It's
would
just the
say that
name
that
of
was
the
more a
show.
Chicago. I would say it was
Yeah.
more of a Chicago thing. Yeah.
So I could say like, oh, they need to be back in Chi-Town. That makes more sense. Or the name of the pay-per-view is really the only like matter there. I don't think so. So I like the story that they have here of Punk being forced to admit that he's a hypocrite, and he's like, no, I'd follow you to hell, and that's what I'm doing. I love it. I
Mhm.
love it. It's so just guilty or guilt free's out there.
I had an idea that's definitely not going to happen because we know John Cena's not dropping the title and all that sort of thing.
Mm.
But I had a fantasy booking idea. I was going to save this for the preview, but I might as well bring it up now because it's not going to happen. So it's more of an idea than a preview.
And Friday he's taking on Ron the Truth Killings in a non-title
Yes.
match. So I think he's getting his
Yes.
ass beat there too.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You're getting me closer to where I want to be.
I think so.
In CM Punk's first run, other than an actual bell-to-bell match, what is CM Punk's most memorable moment in WWE?
The pipe bomb, obviously,
There we go.
but you know, it's
Do
gotta
you
be
do
the
you remember what happened just before the pipe bomb
the
on that episode of Raw?
table match, you mean? Or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. With
With Del Rio and Cena?
nope.
Or was it Miz and Cena?
Nope.
Oh no, it was R-Truth and Cena. You're right.
There we go.
That's where it connects, son of a bitch.
So
Because that was right
if
before Capital Punishment, where R-Truth
Yep.
was doing his whole "I'm a bad guy now" shtick, and yeah, I forgot about that.
So here's the thing.
Holy shit! You just
Because
connected the dots.
R-Truth has gone serious, right? And
Yes.
he's got a big issue. He's
Well,
got
here's the issue. We don't know if he's going serious. Now they're kind of portraying him as schizophrenic. Like I have to
yeah.
protect R-Truth, and I'm not a fan
Okay,
of that.
but
I want him just to
neither am
be.
I. But if we've got a split between Ron Killings and R-Truth, and
Yeah.
Ron Killings is the serious character, I'll just treat that like its own character for the moment.
I just don't want
How
him to
about
have DID and faking it like the rest of those
no,
assholes on TikTok. You know.
no, that's fair. Well, they're faking a lot of things on TikTok these days. But anyways, I didn't say that. I'm talking about wrestling. What if Ron Killings costs John Cena the title to CM Punk in Saudi Arabia? So yes, CM Punk has
Yes.
sold his soul, but it got him where he wanted to be, and he gets to leave Saudi with the championship, and then we can do him versus Cody, and that's another story for another day.
Mhm.
And we end on R-Truth / Ron Killings doing his own pipe bomb on his childhood hero, stripping him of that childhood hero mantra, label, whatever you want to call it.
I
But
will say this: you're not the only one to say R-Truth cuts a pipe bomb, but the way you painted it, oh my god, because of the way it connects and what they could give us here really could be special. Oh my
It
god, could
could.
that be something?
I
I
don't think
mean,
they end I don't think on John Cena's final run, they end his title reign in Saudi Arabia. Not
yeah.
that I would care that it happened in Saudi Arabia, but so many other people would that I think they'd be scared of the not of what they'd done, but where they did it, which is kind of the weird place we're in right now. But this is why the match should have taken place at SummerSlam. Just saying, just saying. But yeah, I just thought the parallels of that are pretty fucking good. Now, bringing it back to the topic of the pod and a little theory that I've been trying to put together here. AEW, and this is not an AEW topic, but I wanted to preface it like this. AEW for a long time had tag team wrestling on lock. When they first started, they had tag team wrestling on lock. WWE had women's wrestling on lock. One of
Yes.
those is still true. But I think it would be fair to say if you look across the three brands of WWE, SmackDown is really good, NXT is really fun, and Raw almost feels non-existent.
Yeah.
I don't really want to include NXT in this equation because NXT is fun, covers a lot of messy ground. I have figured out because you would be forgiven for thinking there's no tag teams on Raw.
Yeah.
There's at least 7
You
on
would
Raw.
you would say 7, but
But here's the thing. I have figured out why.
okay.
The difference between the tag team divisions on Raw and the tag team divisions on SmackDown is purpose. Follow me on this
Okay.
because I've actually written stuff down, which is
Yeah, no,
scary.
no, absolutely.
Look at Raw.
Yeah.
You've got the champions are the New Day, and they're heels.
Mhm.
99% of their heel turn hinges on Big E, who's not there.
Yeah.
Otis and Tozawa are more likely to be either jobbers or backstage comedians than actual attempted proper tag team.
Yes.
Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate haven't been seen in months. I know one of them is injured, and I don't even remember which one. That's not a dig. I
No,
like
I
both
know.
guys. I just don't know which
I
one
didn't
of them's
take it
injured
as
right
a
now.
dig. Honest to God, I didn't. It was just funny the way you said it. It made me laugh. Oh
The
boy.
Creeds are an awesome team,
Yeah.
but they're there to back up Chad Gable and El Grande Americano and Ivy Nile. So they're
Mm.
secondary. Like they are for other people, not for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Same thing goes. Everybody loves them, but same thing goes for the LWO. They're all there. They're kind of there. They're not there. They exist to exist because
Yes.
them existing makes people feel good. But Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro, especially with Joaquin Wilde being injured, Cruz del Toro, Dragon Lee, who we never see, Ray, whose status is in question again, I think. Zelina Vega went over to SmackDown, which didn't help that dynamic at all. And the War Raiders are kind of there just to look across the ring at the New Day and be like, hi, we're the other team.
Exactly. I mean,
Now,
here we are. Ta-da.
now hear me out. Now, all those guys, oh, sorry, Breaker and Reed are there. They have the potential to be a great team, but they exist for Seth Rollins at the moment. They don't exist for
And that's
themselves
it.
right
That's
now.
really it. No, you're not wrong.
So, but it's the same thing with the Creeds. It's the same thing with Lawo. Like I say, War Raiders exist to be the only other team, but the War
Yeah.
Raiders can't face
And like you
the
said, there
New
could be
Day.
purpose here, but as of right now, it's
But the War Raiders can't face the New Day again because if the War Raiders faces the New Day again, what's the crowd going to say? Oh, look at that. The War Raiders are facing the New Day again. It's
yeah.
the opposite of what I said earlier in the pod about the Rascals and ABC. And the New Day themselves are riding on a heel turn that is largely based on a guy that's not there. All due respect to Big E. Though I did float the idea out there that if you ever wanted a 1-2 punch of like feeling good, if Big E got cleared,
Yeah.
this is the other. I don't think I shared this one with you. I think I shared this with the other guys on the other stream.
Mm-hmm.
If Big E got cleared,
Yeah.
his primary focus would be getting back at his former teammates in the New Day, right?
You would think, yeah.
So what if
Even
the
though he
New
wanted to
Day?
retire Goldberg, poor guy, that really did break my heart.
I think we can come up with better. But can you imagine the double feel-good moment of the New Day dropping the tag team titles to Big Truth?
Yeah.
Be good. It'd be really, really good.
It would have been
So-
crazy. It really would have been.
So now, On the opposite side of the coin. Now, I don't, like I say, I don't want to include NXT in this because NXT is a bunch of tag teams that are really made up of either thrown together tag teams or bits of factions, which is NXT is fine. Everybody's kind of just finding their way. Hank and Tank are a fun team. They're going to take on in the short term Briggs and Inamura, and in the long term, I think they're going to take on AJ Francis and Casey Navarro. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then that includes the whole TNA side of things, and it gets messy. So they're off in their own fun little corner. Now, what did I say about Raw? Bunch of people that don't really have a dedication to being a tag team in a tag team division, right?
Yeah.
SmackDown, the champions are the Street Profits. They exist to be a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got DIY, who exist to be a tag team.
Yeah.
You got Motor City Machine Guns, who exist to be a tag team. I wouldn't have added this unless they had just done this at Triple Mania this past weekend, because they are technically part of a faction. The Garzas exist to be a tag team because they're currently tag team champions as well.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then you've got Fraxium, who exist to be a tag team. Pretty Deadly, who exist to be a tag team. Odd one to say, Guerrillas of Destiny, because when they do come back, I firmly believe that they will be a tag team, because what's left of Bloodline 2.0 is going to be done by then. I'm convinced. So I'm throwing GOD on there. They'll be a tag team at some point.
Yeah.
And the Wyatt Six is an awkward one, because technically you could get two tag teams out of that. They're not one single tag team that exists to be a tag team, but they've based their entire return this time around on chasing tag teams and the tag team division and the tag team title.
Yeah.
So they have expressed their dedication to being a tag team through who they've decided to go after.
Dun, dun,
Like
dun.
they're going to be considered a tag team, because who are they going after? They're going after tag teams. But even if you take them out, even if you take Guerrillas of Destiny out, Pretty Deadly, Fraxium, Garzas, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, and the Street Profits at the head of the pack right now, all exist as tag teams to be tag teams.
But
So
like
when
you
you look
said,
at the
just
two-
to be tag teams, but it's like, come on, like let's I don't know.
But
You
it's
get
not
my
like
point,
I
though,
go.
right? Like,
I
pull
look,
the trigger already. Do something with these guys, please.
but I
Like
think
Los
they are. I
Garza
think,
getting the win is huge, but there's a lot that's just lacking. You know what I mean? Like that for the tag division in WWE on the Raw side, as you mentioned, like they're all there. They have potential. They exist, but
yeah. But I
someone
think
just needs to do it.
where
Someone needs to do the
SmackDown's
damn thing, bud.
where SmackDown has it figured out, though, and I'm not saying this is not me saying Raw sucks and SmackDown's perfect either. Do not get me wrong, people listening to me right now.
I don't think
But
anybody took that, but let's
what
not
they've
get
built in
crazy
on
here.
SmackDown is, even with a lack of storytelling, you've got a bunch of solid teams. So if you don't have a story to follow, at least you're going to get a couple of good combinations, a couple of good teams, and teams that will still be a team in 6 months.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
how do we fix this? You need an infusion of people on Raw that are tag teams, that are dedicated to being tag teams.
Oh, I thought you were talking about steroids. My bad. I
Fair.
really fucked this up. I should have looked into. I'm sorry.
I've got 3 options for you.
Ah,
I like the first 2, and I don't like the third one because of what it means for other things. We've already talked about Private Party. Private Party, throw them on Raw. Private Party, if you're going to skip them past NXT, Private Party, shoot them to the top, let them come in at the top. Private Party, New Day would be a lot of fun.
would be absolutely.
It would be. I don't know. Maybe they come in and fall on their face, but at least it shows dedication from WWE's point of view. This is what we see you as, and that's what they've done with a lot of converts from the other company. Anyway, we see you as a star. We see you as a champion. We see you in a prominent spot. They succeed or fail. Maybe they have a 2 or 3 week title reign and then they get their asses handed to them. It is what it is. Maybe they beat the New Day, but then they get trucked by Breakker and Reed because Rollins wants his guys to have titles too. But at least they've integrated themselves into the story at that point. Now,
Absolutely.
that's the only outside chance I'm bringing in. The other 2 options are 2 teams that you already have on your roster that just aren't teams right now.
Yeah.
One of them's the Lucha Brothers. I'm sorry, just bring Rey Fenix to Raw. I don't think they're going to put Rey Fenix in the U.S. title situation, and I think Penta's had his time in the Intercontinental Championship situation. Bring them over, let them be a team. Maybe not permanently, because you can still have them as individual guys.
Yeah.
But introduce the idea of them being a tag team. I think it was very cool when they brought them over. Tony Khan thought he was going to fuck WWE over by keeping Rey and letting Penta go because you were going to stagger it. But really, what you've gotten is 3 debuts out of 2 guys. You got the debut of Penta, you got the debut of Rey, now you get the debut of the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting, if nothing else. I think if say, and this is one of those double down like pay-per-view ender type situations, but do it on a Raw. New Day comes out, they throw down an open challenge, right? Open challenge gets answered by, oh my God, who is this? Is that Private Party? Big velvet rope, the whole fucking deal. Everybody loses their shit because it's new people. They challenge the New Day. The New Day pulls off some, we didn't know you were here. We're not ready. We're going to have this match later on tonight.
How dare you kind of thing. Yeah.
2.5 hours later, New Day versus Private Party. Private Party win the belts. They are then confronted mid-celebration by the Lucha Brothers, which not only sets up that next match, but hey, here's 2 teams that kind of know each other.
Yeah. I mean, it works all the way straight down. They have so much potential. I think that's why people are so upset at this point, honestly, Spaz, because they have it locked, stock, and ready, and they don't let it go. So what's your final, sir?
This one, and I don't like it because it would mean putting a pause on somebody's push a little bit. This is a pull cord in case of emergency, guaranteed to get a pop, WWE cheat code, anything you want to say. And I'll use the same setup as well. New Day comes out on Monday Night Raw. There's no other teams. Nobody can face us. There's nobody in our league. And they get answered by the Usos.
Yeah. So, I mean, interesting how it...
Because I'm not going to lie, get the belts off of New Day. Like, put all these teams, like, put Private Party, Lucha Brothers, and the Usos on Raw. Yeah. And then maybe you've balanced with SmackDown. Because, I'm sorry, no offense to the New Day, but get them out of the way. Usos, Lucha Brothers is a match I want to see.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, and we still have one more match to be added to Night of Champions. I mean, we can get DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns versus Fraxium versus Wyatt 6, Fatal 4-Way, #1 contender match. Sign me the fuck up. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. That frenetic chaos in Saudi. We might
as well do it because I've got them all in front of me right now. I don't have the Destiny card in front of me, and I don't have the Maple Leaf Pro card in front of me. But I will say, Night of Champions right now, we've got the men's King of the Ring, the women's Queen of the Ring. I loved Simon Miller calling the Queen of the Ring the men's King of the Ring. That was fantastic.
That was
John Cena versus CM Punk, Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles, Great American Bash. Right now has no matches announced. Technically.
Here's my thought really quick too. I said on the review last night. Sorry, I just don't want to forget it. Is that
that's fine?
I think we're gonna see, because obviously the women are having the Fatal 4-Way for Evolution.
Yes,
we already know that's the Evolution title, but I think we're gonna get Blake.
Who is?
Whoever wins the Fatal 4-Way is going to face the NXT Women's Champ at Evolution.
Yes, that's where I was going next.
Yes. So I think there's going to be a women's title match, and the title's going to change hand, and Blake's going to get the title at Great American Bash. That's why they gave it to JC, and they're having their feud right now. I think JC's going to lose it at Great American Bash. That's my thought, honestly.
I thought that until the attack. I think you're going to get a preliminary match with Blake Monroe at Great American Bash. I'm putting my thoughts together, I promise. Yes. I think they're going to leave JC Jane. I think they're going to leave JC Jane off and let her focus on the Evolution match. Because
I don't know if she's going to get Evolution. I'm telling you, they might use a bigger name with Blake Monroe here. I have a feeling it's going to be a bait and switch. I don't know why. I'm telling you, one of these times, I'm just I'm really thinking they're going to do it.
Here's the thing, though, and this is one I would actually agree with. These ladies have just gone through this tournament. They've gone through this Fatal 4-Way just to get a scratch at a NXT Women's Championship match. Why would this brand new person get a shot right away, especially on the same weekend, especially before
I guess
who I
they could
assume
say
is going
because
to be
she
Jordan
put her
Grace.
through the table, and then
Mm.
she's like, oh, she
Yeah,
basically
I just think they're
volunteered the title.
opening.
There's ways to explain it, but no,
They're,
I get the can of
I just
worms
think
that it
they're opening
causes.
themselves up. I think they're opening themselves up for some criticism there,
It just feels like they
which
want
would
a
be
heavy
mildly fair.
hand book against All In that day. So already they're having a Goldberg match, and
Yeah.
I guess they're going to eventually build it up to be his last match. So that stipulation is coming.
The
but
way I've already lost so much faith in the Saturday Night's Main Event brand.
Yeah.
It really did. I'm not to say that there's never been good stuff on it. It really is becoming their version of Battle of the Belts.
It was
I
never
think
great,
what you
even
do,
in the heyday. It
fair,
was
yeah.
great because of what it was comparatively, like the cage matches and all that
No, but
stuff. Andre,
the way they push it now, they make it sound and they're advertising. They're supposed to make it sound this way, but they're making it sound like you're getting a pay-per-view level show on TV, and
you're
they're very
not,
good at hype,
and
and
it's
you're not.
all just fucking
But I think
got
I
commercials.
I think what you do is JC Jane. As I say, I think the one that's going to win the Fatal 4-Way next week is Jordan Grace. So I'm just going with that. I think you get JC Jane, Jordan Grace set up for Evolution. JC
Yeah.
Jane doesn't have a match at Great American Bash, but what you do instead, because Blake Monroe wants to get her hands on JC Jane, you do a little bit of AEW booking. Oh, you got to make your way through my faction before you can get to me. Have her have a really solid match with somebody who's super underrated in Fallon Henley as her pay-per-view debut. JC Jane goes on
Interesting.
the next night. JC Jane goes on the next night at Evolution to lose her title to Jordan Grace. She's in dismay. She's fallen apart. She's in pieces. Blake Monroe takes her shot at that point. You build a non-title feud between JC Jane and Blake Monroe that she eventually wins. And then you get closer to her and Jordan Grace at a later date, at a later pay-per-view.
Okay, put it this way. You're thinking logically and sound without adding cans of worms and loopholes, and I am thinking with my non-sleep brain, and I
Nice.
want chaos. So as exhausted as I am and have to run before we go on to the next live show, we, on the other hand, have just really, and I say we because all of my personalities agree.
Nice.
I still just
You got Cody over there with you, don't you?
Exactly. You nailed it. Internally, I have the feeling that they're going to pull something at Great American Bash.
You're probably right. I'm just thinking.
I don't know. Maybe it won't be the women's
make...
title, but I really think they're doing something at Great American Bash because that's the direct competitor to All In Texas, and then Saturday Night's Main Event,
no.
if they're still going, can have it.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I have no doubt that they're going to pull something between all these ladies. I just don't think you're going to get the ultimate like bell-to-bell match.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, I think building Blake Monroe towards that title. You want her to, because JC Jane.
Yeah, she does not need to go for the North American title. Like she's straight to the main title, and I guess she's got a short stay in NXT, just like Stephanie and everybody. So
my point is, as much as I like JC Jane and I think she's slipped into this role fantastically, I think in the long term she's sort of being used as a hold on to this title for a minute.
She is the hot potato epitome, and so she's done 2 weeks now back-to-back amazing promos. Really fucking knocked out of the park.
She's always been great at promos though. She's just now been given the chance to do it more. And we had a little bit of a cut there because technology doesn't like any of us. No, but wherever I was, my point was that she's always been really great at promos. But I think with JC Jane being sort of given this like paper champion role, even though I don't think it's fair, I think when Blake Monroe becomes the champion, you want to have her be the person that beat the champion, not a champion.
Yes,
like if Julia was still the champion, or Stephanie Vacour was still the champion, or the ones that they put up there in big bright lights to say, hey, these are our main fucking eventers. Like they want to put it on Jordan Grace because Jordan Grace is going to be like the new like end of level boss for the division now that the other ones have gone up. And now they want, when they get Blake Monroe to that level, they're going to want to push her in a she beat the end of level boss type of mentality. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense.
The only other thing I was going to say as I was running down like the next 5 pay-per-views we also have Slammiversary coming up, and the only match announced for that so far is Moose versus Leon Slater for the X Division Championship.
Yeah. And I think they're
we
going to
will
have to add
do-
more sooner than later. But I mean, what and when is really the question.
I don't think we're even going to be able to fit in a all-in what the fuck is this show this year.
I don't know
Because, you
because
know,
there's so much going on with all the predictions next week. We have 3
there's so
prediction
much going on,
shows
Yeah.
already. So next week's going to be jam-packed.
Well, I mean, if they would just stop counter-programming WWE, we'd be fine. I'm an asshole. I couldn't even do it. I couldn't even do it.
You got me there. You caught me.
Next in the wrestling news, the competition is upset that the competition is competing.
Yes, the
Anyways,
competition is
Jake,
competition.
you're a busy guy and you got other places to be. Tell them where to find you.
You can find me on YouTube at Jake Countdown Ended DeMarco, on Twitter/X, Instagram, and Rumble, all at Countdown Ended. As you said before, we have the latest Guilty or Guilt-Free up, talking about the booking of CM Punk since he's returned at Survivor Series War Games Chicago 2023. That's a mouthful. And we also have Into Somewhere Rivals, The Undertaker and Kane, coming up this weekend, as well as the SmackDown review. And I will be on the Around the Ballpark podcast as a guest for their milestone subscriber celebration this Sunday. I'm their featured guest to talk about Night of Champions. I don't know a lot about MLB, but I know about WWE, so they invited me over to talk to wrestling. And you can find me on the State of Wrestling right here on the Spaz Phoenix YouTube channel.
And whenever else I can grab you as well. Pause.
Absolutely, baby. Grab on.
All the pausing. And you guys know where to find me or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. This has been Jake. This has been the State of Wrestling. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, me and Super Sexy Jake are tagging out. Bye, guys.
Evolution.